the Weber County Commissioner session. It's 12:31. We're going to start with a discussion and or approval on our minutes dated May 1st, 2023.
Okay,
Is that a motion?
motion,
Second, all those in favor?
aye,
Aye, motion carries. Let's go to our next agenda item. 12:30, agenda item 2, discussion regarding paid parking at Pineview. Jennifer Graham, Sean Harwood. Sorry, Todd, you're not. We do have Todd with us, but
I'm gonna have Todd here.
feel free to chime
I'm
in.
the
when you-
bullpen.
I invited Todd.
Okay, so who's taking charge here?
Well, I don't know. I was
asked to come to the
I was
meeting.
asked to come as well.
Okay.
So,
All right, Harv, sounds like you're.
Sounds like, so we had a discussion with the commissioners, we had a discussion with the
Saturday morning.
things that are moving around here and it had to do with the use of the water and
Mhm.
which under your purview
Yeah, okay, yeah.
and the lease with the folks that are up there now. But I think we still would want to move forward one day with eventually having some kind of a paid parking system around there for the users of Pineview.
Okay.
So when people pull close to the road or they come in from other counties, that we issue, no matter whether they're on the pull off on the south side or whether they're in some of the other parking lots around there,
Mhm.
that they have a revenue stream and that money, what we want to do with that money is put it back into that area.
Right.
And we talked about, okay, we can't do this or this because of the toilets and what I wanted is an update, because I think, quite honestly, I don't know what's been communicated in the past. I know that you guys, since we had a switch here about 13, 15 months ago, Jennifer and Todd are now driving that bus
Okay.
from our side.
Yeah.
And I wanted to make sure that we had everything in line to continue moving forward so that we could have something. Our whole goal is how do we get more money into making sure that we take care of our upper valley for the users, because a lot of the users come up there. We did Sarah Tolliver gave Gage and I a report. And a lot of people come in there. We can tell we have these apps. She runs these apps and we can tell spending
Mhm.
and who's spending what, where. But we find that a lot of people who come to the water, the Pineview especially, come to the water or into Causey. They come there and they don't spend there. They come there and then they leave. So their
Right.
gas, their any purchases, and this is
And that's due to the day use aspect of most.
it's all day use.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
what we wanted to do is to just, how do we get, so we can make improvements and slowly start chipping away at this? Because we know a lot of the users are from outside the county based on license plate data.
Right.
So how
So
do we
we-
capture some of that?
We're working on it the way we can. And we're working with you, with your engineers on these plans. What the Forest Service has to have is a level of amenities before we can charge. Can't just charge for parking. That isn't the way it works. So what we're doing is we've taken this look, and I worked with Ebert first, then you. And we're looking at, making that whole complex up there one big fee area. And you have to do it a bit at a time. So the first project is the Pineview Trailhead to Port Ramp. Okay, that's already a fee area. But Windsurfer or Pineview Trailhead, I don't know which one you're used to calling it, is not a fee area. It's a free place. But with this project that we're working with your engineers on, it becomes a fee area. Okay, so there's one, tick that off. We've got Spring Creek, the little parking lot around the back that has just the vinyl fence around it. That's another plan that Weber County is working on with Ensign, the A&E contract, to make that something that has the level of amenities that we can charge for. Number 2, checked off. Pelican Beach, the one that's just north of down the highway from Spring Creek, is another free area. And that's the other one that we're working with right now with A&E and your engineers to bring that level of amenities up, have some picnic tables, and then charge for that. That's 3. And that's what we have to do. We're going around the lake and taking these areas off.
So this is something we've been working on for the past couple
Right.
of years, so this is nothing.
Yeah.
We just have, so there's no sense in talking about it until those projects are done.
Right, and then Causey,
So you're not gonna see any paid parking up there for a year, maybe 2 years.
until that, well, in those sites that are free, you're still gonna get, there's still sites that are bringing in revenue.
Yeah.
Anderson, Cemetery, Port Ramp, right? And Middle Inlet. But we want all of the sites around the lake to be,
Yeah.
for us to be able to charge fees. That's what the plan was.
Now, so I had thought that the revenue from those parkings around the lake, from the day use parking
Mhm.
that we just talked about, those revenues would be managed by the county.
No,
No,
no, they'll be managed, everything at now hold on, because there's a caveat to this. Everything around Pineview will be managed by the concessionaire. We want the same management across the board. We want everything standard at Pineview. The agreements that you have with the concessionaire of the money that comes off of each car or whatever, that stuff can still continue. Now, the caveat to this is we're working on Causey with the county, with Sean Wilkinson in the lead on this. Fed Highways is coming in and fixing those roads.
Right.
Okay, once those roads are fixed and we have the parking lots up there that we're working on with the state. Then we go into an agreement with the county, either through our Recreation Enhancement Act or through the agreement, a Schedule A agreement with the road stuff, similar to what Mill Creek is, and the county runs that one. So there is in the works for the county to manage the Causey area.
I thought it was all the way around because enforcement became an issue.
No, no,
But can I interrupt?
Yeah.
Jim, you're correct about 2 years ago, because we had talked about in the short term of potentially doing something like that. Sean went back and looked at
yeah,
their rules and regulations for the management around it. So when he went and got, and correct me, Great American,
American Land and
Land
Leisure.
and leisure.
no, the
No.
act. for the
Great
money.
Outdoors.
Oh, Great
Outdoors
American Doors Act, yes.
They're doing major renovations in multiple phases, and each of those will encompass the paid parking, the restrooms, some day
Right.
picnic areas, a pavilion. So it's phased all the way around, and each phase includes another section of that gets folded in. But you're correct,
Yeah.
that was our original thought, short term.
Mhm.
It just kind of.
and Holland went up.
Stopped.
Holland went up and put signs up.
Yeah.
Fees coming, and we had to make her take the signs down because she planted those signs at Windsurfer and at North Arm and a few other places around the lake. And unless where it's Forest Service, where it's actual public land, Forest Service public land, we have to have that level of amenities, which is it's toilets, it's parking, it's security, it's information. There's a list of things, and you have to have like 5 of the 9 things in order to charge. And then you go for authorization. Well, we don't have to go for authorization if we just add it to the concessionaire's list of things that they manage. But the one for Causey, that is all about partnering with Weaver County.
but that's probably what, 4 years out.
They're saying 25 to fix the road.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a 90.
You're 4 to 5 years out before you're gonna collect any revenue.
Well, once that road is fixed, we can put that agreement together.
Okay.
So maybe 4 to 5, once everything's fixed, right? So once the construction's done, the implementation of that project's done.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, you're
Yeah.
saying start it in 25.
Yeah, they're starting the
and that's-
implementation.
And that's a
right?
2-year project.
Right, well, we've added to it, so they're gonna widen the bridge that
Right.
goes across the dam. I mean, that's
Right.
that's another big thing, and there's been some stuff that has been added to the project, but eventually Weber County will manage that.
Right. So other than Causey, the only revenue resource we have would be to work with the concessionaire.
Right,
And that would still be,
right,
but negotiations between us and them.
right,
But
right.
we're not gonna run that.
I thought we were
We're not
gonna
gonna
run that around then.
No, that,
Yeah, those were the initial conversations, but we kind of steered away from that and I think that all was timing was going from AL and L
right,
to
Yeah.
URC.
And
URC, the new vendor,
Yeah.
is amicable to do that.
So would the agreement be similar to what we're doing at the ramps where a portion of that funding is going back to the pot?
Yeah.
So that would work in the same way as a portion of the launch fees and things that go into that account to be
Yeah,
used around there.
You know, this is not meant, but I've always heard that Pineview does really well. In fact, the federal government takes a lot of money off of Pineview and then just gives back a little. Is that-
No, so there was a misconception with the way that Pineview's run. So we have two authorities that will allow us to collect fees. We have what we call RIA, which is the Recreation Enhancement Act. And that one, the Forest Service itself collects those fees, and then we get 80% back to the area where the fees were collected. The other one is the concessionaire, and that's what we have there now. And we negotiate the amount of money that the concessionaire pays back, and it's not anywhere near 80%. It's about, I'm just guessing here because I'm guessing it's about 11%. And that comes back in what we get, what we call Granger Thigh money. And that Granger Thigh money we put back in. So like the gate at Port Ramp, it's not a lot. So as far as redoing a site, that would never happen. We did the gate at Port Ramp. That was $68,000. We had to put a new pump in at Anderson for the system up there, the secondary system. That was like 115,000. We average probably right around 100 grand a year in those GT funds that come back. And then the concessionaire takes the lion's share of that. And that's how Pineview's run.
Is that gate done now?
No, it's not. We've got to get a tire ripper in.
We got a what?
We have to get a tire ripper in before we can actually use it because we want the one side left open so people can leave.
So we've been
Yeah.
talking about this gate for 4 years.
I know.
Are you digging it in? Or
Yeah, that's why I said
exterior
4 years,
tire rippers?
No, they're digging it.
How
in.
long does it take to
Yeah.
put a gate up? I mean, you're a farmer.
Yeah.
Yeah, not long.
Well, have you seen the gate? So the original gate we talked about was about $30,000 and it ended up being a $68,000 gate.
Guess what? My guys
Yeah.
at the road department said they could build that gate for under 10.
I don't doubt Joe Hadley could go in and put that thing in and.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So why don't we just do it and then charge the federal government half of what you're gonna pay?
well, because it's not, you can't authorize it. It's already been, we'd have to go through, we have
Talk
to
to
go.
your favorite senator and get it done. We'll build it, put it in.
I got lots of favorite senators. I got favorite county commissioners too. You three. So, yeah, that's something that we're working on right now. We have to go through our engineering people to get that kind of stuff built, and that's what boosts the cost of it. We went through URC, gave them URC the plans and said, URC, finish this. And that's one of the things that's on the table right now, because we need to get that done.
I was always under the
We needed it
impression
done
that the
3 years
county.
ago.
was-
Yes, we did. You're absolutely correct.
But the county was gonna collect the revenue around the day parking all the way around.
No,
Not gonna happen.
And then that money would go back into.
That was an-
exclusively
that was an
Weber Valley.
idea that Holland had. And she went up and put the signs up before any of us knew that she had the idea.
I didn't
So,
know she put the signs up.
yeah, she actually put the signs up. We had to have them removed. We got so,
Actually,
you.
It kind of got a little publicity.
Oh,
didn't it?
so a nice way to say it is we kind of got our behinds handed to us because,
You must
Nope.
authorize that. I know I
Yeah.
did.
No, I did.
Yeah.
Me and James did.
yeah. So, yeah, I had to call Holland and say, those signs have to come down. I'm sorry. Because we were getting calls and I'm surprised you guys didn't get a bunch of them. Bunch of calls.
I don't remember, but we just wanted to let people
What-
know what was happening.
What we need is for you guys to contact your favorite senators and get them to continue this GAOA funding that we're getting. The cost of the 3 sites that we're working with Weaver County on right now just went to $21 million.
What?
Yeah. It's inflation and it went
20 for all 3?
for all 3. And it went from right around between 11 and 15 to 23 million.
But I mean, really, you're talking about.
And
pretty
how much do we have in the
basic
fund?
Improvements.
Right now, we only have 7 million. That's what the Forest Service got.
Okay, we better get a hold of Blake more and.
And so and that's phase 2. So we did
Wow.
Cemetery Point stabilization as phase 1. We did the survey, they were doing the survey around the lake right now where they're remonumenting the survey. That was phase one. And then we gave $250,000 to a project at Causey, the project at Causey for the parking lots. And that was phase one. Phase two is the three we're working on now. Spring Creek,
21
Pelican.
million, are you serious?
Yeah, 21. They just did a value analysis on it. We're gonna have the report out on it on Thursday. But everything's sky high.
Can you give us a copy of that report?
All
21
It's-
million
it-
for parking around Causey.
around it, that's 3 sites, Jim.
Pineview.
That's 3 sites.
Oh,
That's
still
taken
feels
Spring,
a lot of
that's
money.
taken Spring Creek. That's taken Spring Creek and developing it so we can charge. That's taken Pelican, developing it so we can charge and fixing windsurfer to port.
I guess I'd like to see
Well, they're
the report.
gonna build it to federal standards. That's the problem.
Okay,
What we're doing, like I said, this is what we're working with Weber County and Ensign on right this minute.
that surprises me about 21 million.
Yeah, it's quite a bit, but there's a lot to do. There's a lot to be done up there.
Okay,
The idea, and you guys can look at these plans, Ashley Foreman has the plans,
yeah.
but you can look at that.
Coleman,
Oh,
Thorman,
From our office.
Thorman, yeah.
Coleman.
So what we're doing is we're connecting that windsurfer to Port Ramp. We're making that big loop around there to get people off of 158, so they're not backed up to the dam.
right.
And so it's a big, and then we're putting in a dip tank to clean boats, clog a mussel. I mean, there's a whole bunch of
Well, that
stuff.
ought to come out of DWR side, not
And
ours.
they're putting the funding up to do
Okay.
it. They are, but all the rest of it with the asphalt and and everything else. And we're actually adding a site in there. We're adding a site called New Point, which is between the loop. So there'll be more capacity there because once that lake is all done and developed, we need the capacity there to manage the population. And so we're adding some capacity in those sites. We're making them bigger, making more parking. Because eventually there won't be any other place to park other than the sites around the lake that are developed.
Yeah, makes sense.
Right.
I have a copy of the plans.
You've
so-
seen that happen, huh?
Mm-mm.
You might want to look at it. It's really cool.
That's
It's
a good
really
point.
neat.
So let's say we can't come up with the 21 million or the feds can't. Can you get the 7 for sure, right?
Right?
So
Yep.
can you do one side or
We will,
you have to wait for the 21 million?
we will do what we can. We are going to start. We've approached the agency again and the Great American Outdoor stuff. We just sent that stuff in on the 17th of May.
Because what I'd like to see, I mean, this all started out with just, let's have some parking,
Mhm.
maybe paid parking. Let's start out with that, maybe clean up the restrooms. So I'd like to start out with the basics. Even if we said, let's pave, let's go to the park, let's look at all 3 and do parking, let's look at all 3 and do restrooms,
Mhm.
have garbage removal. And then I like, as far as the other stuff, wait till you have the money to do it. But-
Right, well, so the phase 3 of this project is Cemetery, Anderson Cove, and Middle Inlet. And that's all what we coin in the federal government deferred maintenance. So it would be restrooms, fixing the parking.
But we've got nothing,
Yeah.
to do- I mean, as far as the county's concerned, we don't have any skin in, it. That's all.
Well,
We get 0 revenue on that.
No, Anderson Cove is part of your agreement at this time. Yeah, you get it. And then Middle Inlet is what balances that all out with URC. So they're fixing and Cemetery Point. So Cemetery Point goes to Huntsville.
That doesn't come down.
Yeah, it goes to Huntsville. So we're working on the deferred maintenance on those other sites. That's the plan. That's phase 3.
Okay, got
But
it.
they can't charge until,
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can't charge
Certain
until
amount.
you have a level of
No,
amenities.
the
Yeah,
one, even if we couldn't charge, it'd be nice to have better parking,
right.
get people off the street,
and just as an up,
safety issues,
Well, so we're already down the road on this.
okay?
And the planning's already there. Like I said, Weber County's working with the A&E firm.
Yeah.
To come up with these plans. And so we agreed that this was the way we would approach this and get these to a level where.
Yeah.
Where we can start to generate money to go back to the lake, so.
Okay,
And
Yeah.
just as an update, our restricted fund balance is at just over 121,000
so we still have,
that we have.
Okay.
We really only spent money on portable restrooms,
garbage,
temporary restrooms and garbage.
And a couple of dumpsters, yeah,
okay,
which has helped immensely with the garbage problem up there.
yeah,
Especially on that backside. Yeah.
yeah, it's been a lot better having that extra dumpster there,
Right.
I agree.
Drivers get lost a lot.
Yeah, they
They
do.
call about every week now, where? is this? Can you send the same guy?
Same guy.
Send the one who knows.
Yeah.
All right, anything else, Sean?
Nope, that's,
Jennifer?
I hope that explains
No, yep.
what we're doing.
Okay, that's kind of,
This is really exciting. If we can get this done, and I think these first three sites are well down the road. This is really exciting. It's gonna really give a facelift to that area up
oh,
there.
I don't disagree with
Yeah,
that. Yeah, but we're $14 million short.
well, not you.
Well,
Yeah, that's for us to sweat. We did have a conversation, Ashley and Stephanie and I talked about ways to generate extra funds if we needed them. And Stephanie had some really good ideas.
okay, I'd
So-
like to hear those.
Yeah, and so Ashley and Stephanie were gonna get together and start to work on some stuff
Yeah.
when the time came.
Okay.
And so there's revenue there. We're asking all the partners, you know, I mean, the state stepped up for the dip tank, which is great. I mean, that's gonna be, there's only one other dip tank in the state at Lake Powell. And so
Yeah.
this is state of the art boat cleaning facility.
Good,
Yeah, this is, I mean, I'm really excited about this.
yeah.
And our committee meets every other month to
Right.
stay,
Yeah.
to keep those communications.
Sure.
And you're
lines going.
invited to those committee meetings.
I know, I just
Gage?
haven't, I trust the people there, but
And I
Gosh.
can make copies of that.
All right.
yeah,
And Ashley has all of them. So they've
Yeah.
done,
our guys actually designed this.
yeah, the A&E, yeah, they're working with Ensign
Yeah.
on the design of this.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you're saying about when, Sean, before we'll see this?
So these three sites, the Pineview to Port, the Spring Creek and the Pelican plans are supposed to be to us by September. And so we'll start implementation as soon as we can and we've prioritized them. So we're doing Windsurfer to Port first to help fix that 158 issue.
Yeah.
And we
good idea.
prioritize, so we'll start implementation as soon as we can. The dip tank has to be in by July 2024, or the state loses the funding. So that's something that we're really pushing right now. We had a meeting on Thursday about that with all the players to see how we could get that accomplished.
Okay. Perfect. Okay,
Well, that's an update for me.
anything else? Okay, Todd, anything else?
No, sir.
Sharon, question? Appreciate what you do, Sean.
Thank
I'm
you.
trying.
We know that this is,
It's been,
this has been in the works for a long time.
yeah,
I
it
know at least
has.
4 years,
It takes a minute.
takes a while.
Yeah, takes a minute. And the other thing is we're up in the valley now at the guard station. That's our office.
I knew that, yeah.
Oh,
And it's really
yeah.
helping for us to be right there.
Yeah, I think that's
So-
great. Maybe help with parking a little bit this year to have you there.
Yeah, people are actually looking over their shoulders before they pull stuff.
Yeah. Thanks, Sean.
Little longer commute, but
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I'm
Hey,
okay
thanks
with
for
that.
coming in. Thanks, Jennifer. Todd? Thank you very much. How's the water looking up in North Fork, by the way?
Actually, good.
Everywhere.
Been-
Our large culverts and stuff, we have a
They're holding?
60 inch that goes under the north road.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Is it good?
Yeah, we took the mini out and cleared a little debris on the north side, but we're lucky. We have good bank height all the way through our park.
Nice.
Utah is flowing over the spillway, but controlled so far.
Still controlled.
A lot of snow up there.
Well, we've lucked out with temperatures, especially this weekend.
It's good and bad. The problem is the later we
Yeah,
get
well,
lucky,
that's-
the faster the 90 comes, so.
You're right. It is, you're exactly right. We're gonna
If
pay
anything
sooner or
goes
later.
Hard sideways, we'll let you know. I cry at Sean's shoulder once in a while.
Keep the temperatures right.
Yeah, see you guys.
Okay. We got 4 minutes. Sean, who else? You got all sorts of people.
Yeah, there's a
coming.
lot of people. Planning will take the lead on that one.
All right, we're going to break
Sorry,
here for about
Christie.
5 minutes. Motion dishonor.
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. We'll be back at 1 o'clock or shortly after. Now back. All right, welcome those online. We're now back to our 1 PM discussion regarding ZMA 2022-01.2 A zoning map amendments and development agreement to rezone property from RE 15, RE 20, FR 3, O1, F5, and AV 3 to the master plan development overlay zone. Properties known as Eagle Crest, the Exchange, Cobabe Ranch, and Steve Burton is with us. Sean Wilkins is with us, Rick Grover, Gary Myers, and Portland Erickson, and as well as Charlie Ewert. So I think we had everybody here. Oh, and Chris Crockett's with us, and Gary Myers. You part of this?
Yes, sir.
All right, who's gonna take the lead? Steve? Okay, Steve, Scott, you're up.
So we brought this to you, I think probably a month or two ago, just to kind of put it on your radar as something that will come up in a public hearing, probably in the next couple of weeks. We wanted to bring it to you again, just because we're getting closer to that public hearing date. We haven't decided when it is, probably the end of this month.
Now, the pub, is that for planning commission or the commission?
That would be.
Okay. Okay,
In October, the planning commission forwarded a positive recommendation to you on this rezone. So backing up just a little bit, in January of 2022, it was Wolf Creek with Eric Householder as the representative applied for a rezone to 3 areas in the county. Now, if you can look at the screen here, this is just an exhibit from kind of a draft exhibit to the development. There are 3 areas that are boldly colored. This one is the area called Eagle Crest. This one is an area called the Exchange. And this one is the area called Cobabe Ranch. And I give you an idea, here's the 4-way stop in Eden's right down here. It's right along Wolf Creek Drive. So 3 different areas. The area that we've talked about first on the agenda title is Eagle Crest. So this northwestern area. Eagle Crest is, let's see, it's planned. It is 61 acres, just about up in this area. You can see where my cursor is. The plan for that is to have 72 townhomes and 120 condos. The owner has agreed to, in developing those, they've got some development rights already in the Wolf Creek area. Some of these grayed out development parcels show some of the development rights that he has. He's proposing to build 192 units in this Eagle Crest. And he's going to transfer 80 from elsewhere in the Valley floor. He's going to buy units from the Valley floor and send them to this area before he can develop those 80.
okay,
So again, 72 townhomes, 120 condos. The area that's called the Exchange is planned to
say
be,
back up, so is that area served by water and sewer right now?
it is, there is Eagle Ridge subdivision.
Okay, this is next to Eagle Ridge, got it, okay,
Sorry.
know exactly where it is,
And that would be Wolf Creek Water and Sewer.
Yeah.
Improvement District.
okay,
This area, moving on to the Exchange, kind of in the middle, that will be kind of like the commercial center for what the developer wants to do. And that is going to include, it's proposed to include 144 condos with a hotel, retail, and food services. That is about 17 acres, this little blue and yellow area right here. And I'll walk you through more about what that'll look like.
so is that adjoining the golf course, it looks like?
It is, yep.
Okay,
So they'll change number 2. Coming right across then.
Number 2 hole you're talking about. Yeah, the golf course will be all. It might look like it.
Yeah, I'll show you more. I think they're really just developing more along the street and kind of
Okay.
back behind here.
Sure.
oh, okay,
And then the third area called Cobabe Ranch. This is one of the areas that,
Yeah.
as this went through the planning commission, had the most public interest, I'll say. Quite a few people showed up and wanted to see this done a certain way. So what's proposed over at Cobabe Ranch is we've got 18 3-acre single-family dwelling lots, and then 68 townhomes for 101 total units. And I'm going to back up and say, The developer is not proposing any new density in these areas. They've got existing development rights, and they want to send them to each of these three areas. I should have said that at the beginning of the meeting.
Yeah, so no new TDR, no new development rights.
Now, the development rights, they want to be able to transfer into this area.
And I'm assuming some of those rights are coming off of the valley floor that's indicated by the general plan.
That's right.
Okay, good. Okay,
Let's see, the Cobabe Ranch is about 176 acres. So again, that one will have 18 3-acre single family lots. Oh, sorry, 18 3-acre single family lots, 15 2-acre single family lots, and 68 townhomes. A few concessions that we have heard the developer make to people in this area is that they were originally proposing the townhomes to be up more towards
Yeah.
the Trappers development. And after listening to the public, they decided to move them down a little bit so that the single family dwellings in the 2 and 3 acre lots will be closer to Trappers. Another concession that they were willing to make with the public was that they were going to do 3 night minimums for short-term rentals instead of just 1 night. They're going to limit it. I shouldn't say limit it, but make it so you have to do at least
3 nights. What is, do we have a requirement on that in our short STR ordinance?
Yeah, so under this proposed zone, it's all proposed to be under a master plan development overlay zone. the MPD
Got it.
overlay.
Okay,
If you as a commission want to give them the ability to have short-term rentals in these areas, you can. So right now they proposed no short-term rentals in Eagle Crest to the northwest. They're gonna want to do short-term rentals nightly, in the exchange.
well, Eagle Ridge subdivision, we don't allow short-term rentals now.
That's correct.
Right. So I agree with that. Yeah, the area there in the center, kind of around that golf course, makes sense. That's where you've got Moose Hollow close to there. That
Yeah.
allows short-term rentals, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right,
And then Cobabe, they want to limit to
okay.
require 3-night minimum.
So no short-term rentals on the one side, short-term rentals in the center, then limited short-term rentals on the Cobabe.
That's right.
Am I understanding that correctly? Okay,
Doesn't our STR ordinance say a minimum, 3-day minimum, 2-night?
Yeah.
3-day,
Correct.
2-night, right?
Yep.
They want to take this to a 4 and 3.
Yeah, they're choosing to do that. That's one of the concessions I think that they're trying to make so that
Right.
it isn't just a hotel.
Yeah.
Community.
so minimum 3 nights, is what they're, we put that in the development agreement.
We probably need to make that clear, 3-night, like we did in the
Yeah.
ordinance.
I think it
Okay.
is. I think
in our agreement.
3-night, okay.
Okay,
Right.
so. This is just generally, this is what the exchange area will look like conceptually. This will probably be attached to the development agreement if,
This is the exchange.
yeah, that commercial core.
Got it.
Here's Wolf Creek Drive. We've asked that they include some architectural requirements in the development agreement as well. And what are we calling this? Mountain water? or something?
so is this, Eric, is this all on the east side of the road?
Correct.
Okay. Well, it's not gonna impact anything over west where they have their existing clubhouse, et cetera.
Correct.
Okay,
Nothing on the west side.
got it. Okay,
I can't rotate this image, but this is Eagle Crest, so that's that western area to the north. Where there will be townhomes and condos. Now, north would be the left side of the image, here's Fairways Drive coming through.
Okay.
You'll have condos along the north side of Fairways. And you'll have townhomes on the south side of Fairways. Again, that's an area that won't allow short-term rentals.
okay,
There's some architectural requirements for Eagle Crest. Here's how Cobabe will lay out. You can see that they've moved the townhomes a little bit further south.
okay,
To still keep a view of Pineview, but also are listening to the neighbors up here and leaving the single family lots up here. Some of these will be interesting because there's this
Power line.
So they may have to figure out an interesting place to build when they come in to subdivide.
Could I ask a question? What is the condition of currently of this ground where these are being developed? Is it currently kind of the scrub oak type stuff that's up there right now?
That's my understanding.
there's not a lot of brush on it.
Looks like grazing area.
Is it mostly cleared out then? Right now, it's just kind of grass, probably unmaintained.
It's pretty rocky, there's some grasses in there, not a lot of trees. though.
It's been pasture for a long time.
Has it?
Yeah.
And then here's some architectural requirements for the way that the single family and the townhomes would end up looking like. I guess we don't really care what the inside
Is that Cobabe or?
This would be COVID, yeah.
Okay.
So I just want to put that on your radar. There will be we'll schedule a public hearing. We'll prepare an ordinance for if you choose to approve it, we'll have an ordinance prepared for that NPD overlay zone to take place over top of these three areas. And we'll also have a development agreement prepared for you to sign, that covers how this is to be developed.
All three.
The one development agreement. The way we've written it is 15 years. They've got 15 years to do all this. We did write in there, it's an automatic renewal every 5 years, similar to how we did that with Nordic Valley.
Yeah.
The county, if we would like to have it renew, we just don't send them a notice that we're not going to renew it. So 15 years is the expected time. And if we want to, we can give them 5-year increments on top of that.
Got it. Okay, questions? Sharon? Hard? So what about traffic pattern and, especially on the exchange, or not exchange, what's Eagle Crest?
Uh-huh.
Is that gonna tie, we've talked about improving 4100 north at some point. I'm a little, and making sure we have traffic that comes off of, that far east side of Wolf Creek there. Does this kind of all tie together? Because, obviously this is not gonna happen overnight, but I wanna make sure we've got good straight street connectivity. I mean, there's only one place right now for them to enter. Right.
So this,
Until 4100 is complete.
Which begins next year, is that correct,
Yeah.
Mary?
Correct.
So 4100 to go?
We have the money from WACOG.
Yeah.
Currently, the bridge is being redesigned right now.
Okay,
We didn't want to improve 4100 until the bridge was done,
right.
just for the amount of traffic increase we'll see.
And so is the bridge online then
It is.
to be done?
It's already in process right now.
Okay, so that give us 2 entrances and exit out of there.
That's
Okay.
why we've waited on getting that done, because we've been waiting
Yeah.
on the bridge.
Okay, that was, I remember we talked about that bridge.
Yep.
Are we paying for that bridge or is the state?
The state is.
All right.
there's,
Okay.
there would be an entrance through fairways. That was one of the items that the developer highlighted when they said why they felt that this met the general plan. Because the developer worked with the county pretty closely to get fairways dedicated, so that 41 will happen.
Right.
The other connection I think that's important to consider is the connection into trappers.
That's a connection I was worried about. Yeah.
Some of the owners expressed some interest in requiring there to be a crash gate there. So that it would only be used for emergency purposes. Our recommendation is to have that connection always be open.
Yeah, I think you've got to have enough people who would use that to take the pressure off of that. Yeah,
I think this is
Scott?
gonna
it's got to be full circulation.
be a good, and easy drop down for those
Yeah.
townhome owners to get down to the village. I
Yeah.
think they're not gonna want to see Cascade
No.
in the long run.
Well, it makes no sense. You've got to have as many exits out of there and entrances as possible for the future. I mean, for the next 5 years, it may not make a lot of difference, but 20 years,
Agreed.
Yeah.
it'll be huge. We don't want to have to go back in and fight about a crash gate. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah, we just want to put that on your radar. You guys have any?
been through planning.
Yeah, planning commission made a recommendation that you approve what John was proposing,
Okay,
as long as it's under a development agreement. we discussed.
got it. Commissioner Harvey, questions, comments? We've kind of looked at this on and off for the past few months, so really no surprise. Commissioner Bowles?
No.
Okay, thanks, guys. Great presentation. Appreciate it.
Steve, was that a unanimous vote with the planning commission? Do you recall?
I'll have to go back and look. I don't
Okay.
remember if it was unanimous. I think it was. I think it was a 5-0. There were 2 that weren't there, or one that was recused, I think.
Yeah.
If I remember right, it was a
That sounds right.
5-0.
5-0. Great. Thanks very much, guys. Okay, Cortland, you okay with this?
Yeah.
All right. We don't do anything around here.
That's right.
All right.
Time to sit down and finish that.
Chris, do we need to wait for 1:30 or can we move ahead with that?
Move ahead.
Okay. All right, commissioners, let's go to our next agenda item, which is the 1:30 discussion regarding amending the subdivision ordinance to exempt lot line adjustments from full subdivision review. Rick Grover, you're back up.
Yep.
Sean, Gary, William, not here. I'm assuming that's Cortland. Charlie and Steve Burton. Okay, Rick, you taking the lead or Steve?
Steve's working on
Steve?
that corner.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so, and I think we might have met with you about.
You're
this.
being overworked today, Steve.
I think we might have met with you about this last year.
I remember hearing about this, but
We have seen a lot of people propose when they come in and need to make some changes to their lot. Maybe they want to remove a buildable area, or maybe they want to adjust a boundary, a common boundary with the neighbor they're in the same subdivision. They have to go through a full subdivision review. Our ordinance says it's got to go through our surveyor's office. You got to wait 30 or 45 days for it to be reviewed. And then we have to schedule a formal meeting for it to be approved. And then once that's done, you got to print your Mylar and bring it in. And it just seems like a lot for such a small change. And we get those, it seems like we get at least one of those a month. It feels like we get submitted to our office to work on. And so we wanted to figure out a way we wanted to find out if there's a way to expedite this for people that just wanted to make such a small change to their subdivision. And when we looked at state code, Portland is going to correct me if I'm wrong, but state code doesn't mandate that I don't think it says that we have to have a public meeting to approve a change like that. I think state code, the way it's written, it allows the county to accept what we would call a lot line adjustment, where the owner just simply, they pay for a subdivision plat through their surveyor, and they give it to us, and our turnaround time would be 2 to 3 weeks. There would be no need for a public approval, but we would still get signatures from Rick and Gary and the health department if needed, and Steve in the surveyor's office to verify that it meets the bare minimum requirements for a subdivision amendment. We think that this will expedite the process quite a bit for people, and it'll also be cheaper because we're proposing to have its own fee, which will be significantly less, about half the cost of a one lot subdivision application. So I think it'll save time and money for developers, and the way that we've written it, both planning commissions have given a positive recommendation on adopting a lot line adjustment standard.
This seems like a no-brainer to me.
it's a no-brainer. I remember that legislation. In fact, I may have had my name on part of that because we heard a lot of complaints from the public that counties were requiring just what we do. And so, yeah, makes no sense.
Well, I wish your name was on some of that other stuff that comes that crap.
Well, I don't really do that.
When Cortland and I looked at it, he was kind of thinking maybe we should still have that public meeting requirement. Any thoughts, Cortland?
It's been a few months and I was reviewing my old emails about this. The section that refers to these lot line adjustments kicks it over into the subdivision code. And that section 1727A608. I'm sure this isn't the one you had your name on because it's less than clear.
I can probably tell you who it was.
Yeah.
So it,
Boy, stepped in it there.
it has different sections. The whole title of 1727A608 is subdivision amendments, and it contains a list of requirements, and then it says a public hearing is not required, and the land use authority may consider at a public meeting an owner's petition for the subdivision amendment if they go through different requirements, which includes a petition seeking to adjust the lot lines of adjoining lots if the owners of each join the petition. So that implies that a public meeting is required.
Is that the most recent? Is that?
Yeah, it's the current code that was amended this year.
I believe before the amendment, it's still said.
Yeah, it's
The
a-
public
yeah, the-
body may hold a public meeting.
Well,
Something.
It
Is it a may or
says,
shall?
it says the public hearing requirement does not apply. And a land use authority may consider at a public meeting an owner's petition if these are
So
met.
that's kind of weasel
It
language. when it says
says
may.
the hearing requirement doesn't apply and the land use authority may consider at a public meeting. Does that mean, well,
Yeah.
they can choose between a hearing and a meeting? Or does that mean they can choose whether or not to hold any kind of public meeting? I guess that's kind of the question.
So that means we make the decision.
Yeah, that's one way to approach it. So,
Yeah.
so
So how do you want it?
Well,
Easy.
yeah, as easy as possible. We hear from surveyors quite a bit in our office that get mad when their clients have to go through this full process. And I brought this up with a few of them, and I said, look, we're thinking about a way, if we can, to avoid the public meeting altogether. If it's such a small change and state code doesn't mandate it, and the surveyors overwhelmingly, I'm talking about the private surveyors are really excited about it, but, and so are we.
Yeah.
If we're wasting less time, and taking in less fees, yeah, why not?
Okay.
yeah. So I mean, that could be read a couple of different ways. And so if we choose to take that and may consider it a public meeting as discretionary, it's, who's going to challenge it if it's a minor lot line adjustment and everybody neighboring agrees to it? It's probably pretty low risk. And so that would be a way we could approach it.
Yeah. So I'm gonna take the may as the official intent of that legislation. So let's go ahead and clean it up.
If you're okay with it, I'll plan on bringing this to you in a public hearing and a first reading of the fee
Yeah.
amendment. So that we have a separate fee for this that's cheaper in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I don't see any reason to burden somebody with a full subdivision. When, a lot of these requests come in are just, the neighbors have agreed, there may be a boundary line adjustment that's been under dispute for years, no reason to torture them anymore.
Yeah. Good.
Okay, we're good. We good, Harv?
Yeah,
Good.
I'd like to I don't have any issue with bringing anything to the public, but if this
Yeah.
helps streamlines the process, that's all it is.
Well, it still has to go on an agenda, right, or not?
This would say, no, it doesn't.
Okay, it doesn't. All right.
But we could, if you did want to do a meeting, we could do an administrative meeting, which goes through, yeah. And those happen very quickly. It can happen every week.
If we're gonna have a meeting, I want it to, might as well be an administrative, if there's a neighbor that shows up that puts a complaint in, they should be heard. But I would say 90% of the time, you're probably not gonna hear from anybody.
Right.
So the way that the ordinance is written right now is most of the time, these are small subdivisions, which
Yeah.
would be approved in an administrative
Yeah.
meeting. I guess the issue with that is that's the time, right? And that's the money. As far as them paying a fee, we're gonna have to write a staff report, we're gonna have to.
For administrative meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah. If we get away from doing that, that really cleans up staff time.
All right.
That's what makes the biggest difference.
That,
It's
So you-
getting away from that whole
So
process.
get away from any type of administrative meeting. Okay. So you comfortable with that?
Yeah, yeah. It's almost just an undue step that needs to happen.
Okay.
because he'll still have to sign the plat anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah, and everyone's looking at it to make sure all the i's are dotted and the t's are crossed per the ordinance, so it's covered that way.
These are so small and in such
Yeah.
limited circumstances that I don't see an issue here.
Let's try to keep our costs down.
And keeps costs for those, it makes
Yeah,
it easier to
keep-
develop.
Keeps our costs down, keeps their
I'm
costs
good
down.
with that.
Let's try to not make mountains out of molehills here, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're good. Okay,
Thank you.
you got it, guys. Thanks very much. Steve, anything else?
That's it, thank you.
Rick?
Nope. That's
Okay,
all on that. item.
thank you very much. Wow, we're ahead of schedule. We're waiting for Bryce. Thanks. Bill Ross. Bill coming?
This is for the jail roof.
This is for the,
Don't worry about it.
don't worry about it.
Don't worry, well, sorry, don't worry about Bill being here.
Okay.
Bryce won't be here either.
All right, so you're gonna handle this?
I can handle it. I don't even know if we need Scott Park, but he may be out there.
Thank you.
Thanks. Eric,
Easy.
hey, Rick, will you send Scott Park in if he's there? We probably ought to wait for him just to be safe. Well, we're moving right along today.
Good way to be, right?
Gary, oh, well, I guess we'll.
Okay, welcome back. We're now at our 1:45 PM discussion regarding change order on increase of material for the jail roof. And Bryce Taylor's not with us. Sean Wilkinson, Bill Ross, Scott Parks, not with us. Chris Crockett is with us. Go ahead, Sean, this is yours.
Okay, commissioners, the original material cost for the contract on the jail roof was just, well, $463,000. The change order is for $49,373. It's just the cost of materials. It's over the 5% that was in the contract, so we had to bring it back to you to get that change order approved. We do have the budget for it, but that's what we're looking at.
It seems pretty small compared to the cost of petroleum and everything else that makes those.
What was the increase? 5%?
So,
Rubber and plastic.
Almost $50,000 on a $463,000 project.
Okay,
So that's really it in a nutshell. There's no getting around paying that additional cost. It just is what it is based on the timing of when we did this and what the materials came in at. So
so our contract allowed them to
yes, they did have that.
go up
They
based
did have
upon the
that.
cost of
They did
material.
have that.
Okay. Well, I don't know if there's much to say about that.
So
then.
we wanted to bring it to you because it's over that 5% change order allowance that's in the contract. So
We got the money, Scott?
How much was it again? Remind me?
49,000.
Because we had budgeted $1 million for the whole project. So we added a 10% contingency, so we're gonna be within that still.
Yeah.
So we have enough in the contingency to,
So for that project, we had added 10%. So yes,
okay,
and we did it knowing that this was a possibility.
Yeah, so the total will be about just under 520,000.
got it, over versus 480.
Versus 463.
463. Okay. Well, I don't know if there's a lot to talk about there. Anything? Art, anything?
No.
Okay,
All right,
it is what it is.
that's it.
So we've set aside some money in capital projects that we haven't allocated to specific projects. I mean, you saw the huge amount that we had unreserved. So we can pull from that for these types of things,
Right.
but also the same concept would go with remodeling of this building. I feel bad for Bryce, I beat him up a little bit. He's just the messenger, and so I,
Just on the downstairs.
the downstairs, well, just on not only the downstairs, but on just all these types of things. So there's lots of requests for property management. And if we were to do everything that they're asking, they don't have enough money to do it. I mean, we have money in the capital projects fund that we can use if you guys are willing to do that. So I would just need to transfer the money with your permission out of there. So
Okay.
I guess we'll just wait and see. I know Ricky sent an email. I think a couple of you seen that and responded. The cost for the basement and all.
Yeah, so we might as well deal with that at the same time, right?
Well, the rough estimate on that was about 75,000.
Yeah.
But
Remember that email chain
Yeah.
we were on?
there were a couple questions about balance to
Sure.
basement and how that looks. And so we're waiting until we get the final word that says yes on the move and spend the money. Until then, we won't start. So I'll let Ricky,
So do we need a separate
Talk to
meeting
you.
on that, or, I mean, we've met once.
Ricky offered that in his email. So if that's something that you want to talk about, then
Sharon, can we talk about that since? It's not,
This is purely administrative. Talking about the remodel and
Yeah.
moving elections.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's administrative.
okay.
okay,
So I asked Bryce about, I was like, why in the world does it cost so much money? You know, I was thinking, okay, some paint and stuff like that, I don't know, prices are up at 75,000. He said the big thing was carpet.
Yep.
And that
And
it's going,
lights, we had to
Yeah.
change out all the lights to LED because that was with Barry's and they didn't want to do that when we did ours.
okay,
yeah. So the cost to use that space for any purpose is going to be lights and carpet.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
potentially paint. Yeah. Now, what Ricky wanted to do in addition to that work that already has to be done was to move and reconfigure some walls and stuff
Right.
like that. So the additional cost for elections to go down, there's not 75,000.
Right.
And I was asking Bryce to kind of estimate what that is, and I haven't heard back from him yet. But that $75,000 price tag, I kind of like, wow, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
all right, well, I think, any questions on the change order for the material roof?
No.
If not, then I'd entertain a motion that we go saunter for 10 minutes and then go into an administrative meeting to discuss that.
Okay.
Motion to saunter.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Let's
We're
go
gonna-
to administrative meeting, Mr. Chair.
We're gonna saunter till 2. Okay, welcome back. For those that are online, we are now at our 2 p.m. presentation regarding community performance plan for Rocky Mountain Power. We have with us Kirk Nigros, Sean Wilkinson will be here. Bill Ross, Bryce Taylor won't be. Gary Myers is here and Chris Crockett. Kirk?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
motion to leave our little
Sauntering.
sauntering and come back into work session.
Okay, we have a motion to come back into work session. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, yeah. Okay, we're done. Go ahead, Kirk.
Perfect. Thank you for meeting with me. Every year we kind of go over a community performance plan and make sure that we're doing what we need to on our end to make sure that we're maintaining a good partnership with the county. And so that's why I reached out for this. I have just a quick kind of an agenda, things that we can go over. Hopefully we get there, if not the end of the world. But the first thing on the agenda, are there any outstanding issues or concerns that the county has with Rocky Mountain Power?
Concerns or issues, commissioners? I have none. Looks like we don't have any.
Okay, so that's always good.
Things
So-
seem to be running very well.
Then that's how it should be.
Yeah.
So, that's a good sign.
Well, and I just want to say thank you. So as we've gone through this flood mitigation process, I know Rocky Mountain Power, along with Dominion and a lot of other have reached out and contribute, offered equipment, personnel, et cetera. So from the county's viewpoint, thank you very much for that.
Okay, well, so no issues. We can go on to the community performance plan, which I have last year's plan on the next page.
Okay.
And, the main issues on this are really kind of those bullet points that we have, and just maybe we can review those, make sure that we're minding the shop as well as do we need to add anything for 2023. Now on here, it's, obviously coordinate tree trimming efforts with the county staff. And I know that we have a tree committee that we had our arborist join last year.
Is that right, Sean? I don't remember that, but I don't know.
I don't think that's ours.
Is that yours?
I know Ogden City has a.
Is it our, no, we have an arborist. I thought you guys had a tree board that you're putting together on the county side.
We have a weed board.
Weed board.
Weed board.
So I think we
Okay, there we go.
I think we've actually
Conflating our
reached
weed board.
out because of weed mitigation.
Okay.
And we're, concerned about in some areas, particularly Ogden Valley, for weed control under your easement.
So the weed board, there we go.
Weed board, yeah, that's it.
And so Robert Vanderhoof has retired, who was the individual that we had on that committee. So who should I reach out to find a new candidate if you would like? Since he's retired from
On the weed board.
Well, he was not, he was just an ad hoc member, right?
ad hoc.
Yeah, just a liaison. between
So
Rocky Mountain.
whoever comes from your side, so whoever you feel.
Who should they reach out to?
Oh, Stacy Skeen from our side.
We'll work on trying to.
And
get you a
Stacy
new-
Skeen can forward any agendas, et cetera, make sure that their name's listed. Yeah, we'd love to have them come to those. We only have, I think we meet every quarter, so there's not a lot of time involved, but
Okay. Weed board, not the tree board, so.
weed board.
Weed board, we got that. So on our tree trimming, we generally go on a 3-year cycle. And those are any circuits that we have that are at risk growing into the lines. And that's the interesting thing is we actually kind of do a V cut. We try to do the minimal amount of removal as possible to maintain the health of the trees. And I think it works out well. If we have to replace a tree, we do issue tree coupons to the individuals that are impacted by that. So we
Great.
definitely try to work through that, but obviously we don't want to energize any lines through trees. That would be a bad situation. Work closely with coordinating to meet county power needs. And I think that we've definitely been working on trying to do that. I know the Black Pine development, that's been something that we've done a system impact study. Trying to try to work with as much as we can, balancing obviously kind of risk. We can't put risk on our ratepayers. And so it's trying to find that balance of cost and growth. And I know there's been quite a bit of growth. As well as kind of high density housing. We've tried to work on looking at our standards and trying to work with the developers, trying to work with appropriate metering and safety with kind of a different type of housing that we haven't seen as much. And so I know that they're working on those, that situation. That's always kind of a challenge. Finding space for hardware and assets on our side to energize those structures. The community support for the Ogden Canyon Trail project. We did get a managing director to go on an on-site meeting with Ogden City. And Ogden City has reached out. They're looking at a first phase, which would be kind of a bridge cantilever trail by the waterfall, as well as upgrading kind of that dilapidated bridge, which would allow us access to our assets. So we're busy working on negotiating, trying to see if we can help out and help fund that project for them. So we're actively engaged and have a good dialogue with Ogden City.
Great.
Continue, I brought my reading glasses. Let's see, continue strong corporate citizenship through support of county economic development activities, Chamber of Commerce, legislative activities, support Hill Air Force Base. Craig Ruder, my counterpart, is the key account manager for the Air Force Base, and he's actively involved. We've hired a new regional business manager to handle South Davis and Davis County itself. And so we've got another asset or another regional business manager that's working with the Davis Chamber of Commerce. Legislative committee, making sure that those things, our issues are heard. As well as, corporate citizenship. We've definitely on the outline that I have, we've basically just in the Ogden area, not county-wise, but I just pulled the Ogden stats. Last year gave over $100,000 to various charities, grant funding, and communities. We've definitely been an active partner with the community and the county. And I think I've been kind of kicking you guys some of the highlight pictures, trying to keep you guys in the loop of the organizations.
Good. We appreciate that.
We do.
Increase the access to clean energy, EV charging stations to allow broader acceptance of EVs. We are looking at putting in 2 high-speed EV charging station centers in the Ogden area. One in, I think, in Union Station we're looking at in Ogden City, as well as on an area in Weaver State. And these are, they'll have 2 350 kW chargers and 2 150 chargers. So if those are all cooking at max capacity, that's over a megawatt that'd be running through those.
Wow.
So, which will be great. It's going to pull traffic from the freeways, as well as be really great options for those that live in apartments or whatnot. They can charge, like a Ford Lightning, 20 minutes to 80%.
There you go, Harv.
How about that?
You can go up there.
So
On internet carriers.
we're working on trying to ink those up, but we're getting close to getting those.
Are you gonna charge for that or is that donated?
The cool thing on this is they're owned by Rocky Mountain Power, so we will pay for the construction and the chargers as well as the maintenance of those. And then through the commission, any Rocky Mountain Power customer gets a discounted rate. I believe it's, if I remember right, like 34 cents. Don't quote me, I need to check that again. But it's we're talking in 30 cents per kilowatt hour for you. 60 to 70 cents. So a huge discount rate for our users. And it's really the tough thing on those high-speed chargers is they have such a high demand charge because they're using a lot of energy. But it's kind of that chicken and egg. Generally, they have to kind of get more than 30% usage for the energy to offset that demand cost. So ratepayers will really kind of subsidize that to help kind of prime that pump to get get it going. So that'll be a win. Wildfire mitigation efforts in Eden. You guys are probably well aware of all the activity and trying to, upgrade our systems. We have, some additional plans, which I'll go over. But we're definitely, very involved in, setting up the system that's, going to, mitigate kind of, ignition from our assets and help protect those communities. And then, support the Weaver County Weed Board was my last one, so I'll reach out to Stacy. We'll find-
There you go.
So, got that on there. Anything additional that we have not, that's still kind of important to the county that you'd like us to focus on this coming year?
Sean, you guys have anything? Gary?
I'll be reaching out to you, Kurt. There's a trail project coming up in the valley along with Highway 162, which kind of heads northwesterly from the junior high up into the Liberty area. In talking with them, there's some power poles that were identified that will probably be in conflict with the location of this trail. We should have plenty of right of way to relocate to. We'll just need to
We'll probably
get that in motion.
No problem. I'll look at the franchise agreement on most of our franchises, if it's for the county's convenience
Yeah,
and necessity, we'll move them.
yeah, perfect.
So I'll confirm it, but that's a 90%.
Well, we're thinking about that, 3600
You
west.
just read my
Okay,
mind.
all right.
Previously, I was reaching with, his name was Justin, but I've heard he's,
Archibald?
yeah, he may have left. I was told that Justin I was reaching out to. We have some poles on 3600 west that need to be relocated as well. And, I don't know if you want to put me in contact with somebody on that one as well too, Kirk, that would be super helpful.
And generally, you can just contact customer service to get a work order number.
Okay,
Just say, hey, we're the city, we need poles relocated, call that into our customer service number. Once you have a work order number, email that to me and I can kind of, I can chase it from my side.
perfect.
And that, until we get a work order number, that's hard for estimators or anybody else to kind of work with it.
Yeah,
They tend to build that to it to maintain their county, so.
that was the only two issues.
Anything on 2200 north?
No,
Okay.
no, we got that all signed and we should be good to go. Good. So.
Cool, good. Anything else, Sean?
Not for me. Rick, anything?
Rick?
Planning, okay.
Okay,
Yeah, I'll just put assist with full relocations.
Yeah.
We did have some issues with a wayfinding sign, but we shifted that wayfinding sign because we felt that that was not as important as the power pole.
Oh,
So, and
Okay.
working with you guys on that, so,
well, appreciate that.
yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, we'll just add an assist with pole relocations as needed, and I'll add that a bullet and I'll get you guys a signed copy. I'll email it to you on that.
Perfect.
And then emergency contact list. Again, on this, I just kind of had some names and numbers on there. If there's any, I think the main thing on this one is who we contact in case of an emergency is Lisa Swartz. Still the.
Yeah, same, last name is Gosline. She just using her married name now.
Okay, now the G, I'm sorry.
Gosline, same number, same
Yeah, okay.
Lisa.
I can fix that. Perfect.
yeah, that's
the
what I
main
want
one.
to see needs change here, yeah. Yeah, that's great.
Perfect. Those are always helpful in case something horrific happens, then
Do we want to do Eli's number as well, just in case?
Yeah,
Gary, you have that?
I sure do.
So Eli works closely with Lisa from the sheriff's office.
He is 801-510-1005.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
510-1005.
Yes.
And what's his last
His
name?
last name is Johnson. He's kind of Lisa's right-hand guy.
Perfect. Okay, cool.
Also under the sheriff, that's Colby. Colby, Colby.
Colby Ryan.
Oh, did I spell it wrong? Oh,
Just left out the L now.
no. Okay. Perfect. We'll fix that too.
Okay, great.
And then, some current projects that we're doing, one obviously is the wildfire mitigation. We are going to be working on distributions this coming summer. We're saying starting July 1st, weather permitting, through the end of the year, and this is going to be from the dam to Eden, the distribution center. So I think there are distribution lines, which a lot of them they're undergrounding, but a lot of that work will be happening. There will be some, temporary outages that occur as they're working through those legs. I have talked to some Eden residents and they were concerned with some of the outages that they're happening during the spring, given the a lot of melting, a lot of them are using some pumps. And so I'm glad to hear that they're, that's the main thrust is gonna happen, beginning of summer. So that thaw should be, whatever happened should have already happened by then, which is hopefully. So, it's definitely being an advocate for the residents saying, hey, let's make sure we're, the only time we're doing outages that are critical right now. Versus things that are scheduled. And so, again, with the snowpack, we can't really do a lot of work either.
Right.
So, that's on that. As we discussed earlier as well, we've got the Ben Lomond to El Monte substation, those towers that were which drove some of the communication and access roads. But we're going to be replacing 7 towers along the Bonneville shoreline. A couple of them are on Weaver County property, but we realize that they're in city limits. Correct. So we're going to we'll communicate with you, working with the city, but the city didn't seem to really have too many issues either, as long as we had an erosion mitigation plan.
Good.
Making sure that we're not rolling anything down on residents.
Good.
Last Taylor substation, I reached out to you last year saying, hey, do we need any permitting on that? Initially, they were looking at, they're upgrading, they're just going to replace the transformer and some of the equipment. So they're replacing it out, old equipment, they're just going to upgrade that.
The site's not changing.
Well, that's the question now. They just recently last week said that they may want to open that up, and I've got a picture on the 4th page.
Yep.
They're thinking of possibly expanding that fence line on our property. So it's still on our property to this, and this is to accommodate a mobile transformer while they're doing the work so that the station's not out of commission.
Okay.
Would that require any additional permitting?
Typically, when we look at those type of things, it's considered a public utility substation, which falls under a conditional use permit in most zones. Oftentimes, we may just call that de minimis. And so it doesn't require you going to the planning commission or anything like that. It can just be done approval in-house.
Okay.
But I would just have this plan submitted into our office in the planning division. And then we can just get you through the process.
And it shouldn't be much of a process where all you're doing is adding property.
Exactly.
Okay. And I can get you a better drawing. This was just, I said, we're dealing with commissioners, so we like to make it easy.
Yeah.
We get the
Easiest possible.
engineering drawings, they can get, the layers can get kind of crazy. So I'm assuming you want an engineering type drawing.
We may not even need that. Kind of just give us a narrative and that information, and we might be able to just go off of that. I just would like to have it in the file, so if any of the public calls in that we have it on file, that it's been approved, and you don't run into any snags.
Understood. And the main driver behind that is if we can fence that off with our temporary, it just keeps it secure and it's more safe. As well as if we ever have to put in a mobile, again, it's a single transformer. So for whatever reason, if we have to maintain or upgrade and bring in a mobile, we have a place to bring it in, easy, and it's not public access versus putting a temporary fencing and kind of dealing with that kind of situation.
But for all intents and purposes, all you're doing is expanding the fence line.
Yep.
Okay.
That should be so easy.
But it'll be we're just upgrading the same transformer there. We're not adding additional equipment.
Where is this transformer?
Goodness.
On Taylor, but I can't place it.
Taylor and where they call that to you, just so you have that.
2700 west. I can get you
2700 east.
20 or it's 27.
No, it'd be out
It'd be
west.
west. So this is out west.
Oh, and Taylor.
Oh, okay. I was thinking Taylor Avenue.
Me too, that's when you said on
So we
Taylor
call
where.
it the Taylor substation in Taylor.
Okay, that makes better sense.
Yeah, Taylor Town.
Okay,
I should have.
next to that city we call West Haven.
Yes. That's right.
Was there a south coordinate they gave you on that, Kurt?
I can get you the address.
Okay.
I looked up everything. I even have it's 27.7 KVA. I
Yeah.
asked for some background, but I didn't.
That's
get the
okay.
address, darn it. I've looked at it on a map.
No worries.
Yeah.
No problem. I just wanted to try to place it in my mind. I couldn't.
Yeah, it's on the west side.
Well, that's what I was thinking, Taylor.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was thinking of Taylor Canyon. Oh, I know there's one up on that east bench somewhere though.
Okay. Well, that's something.
By Mount Olive?
Good deal. And so those are kind of current projects that are kind of large projects that are impacting. And then we also had, and I didn't put down on there, we're gonna be doing the additional transformer BDO. And as we had a discussion before, we're gonna work, instead of going through the BDO, because we talked to them, Austin he preferred us to run up around it. Which will be fine, and we'll just double circuit the current transmission. So they'll be from two different sources, but anything that's going along the double circuited pole, obviously if someone tags one of those steel poles, they have to hit it pretty hard. It could, it's not as reliable, but odds are you're gonna be fine. And if there's anything with one circuit, then you have the ability to transfer it to the other circuit.
Okay.
So those are the outstanding projects. Community funding, we're active in the community. One of the things I did is they gave me some extra funding when I first started. And I tried to make sure that we kind of shotgun our community funding efforts into all the communities that we're serving. And so we're involved in a lot of the 4th of July's, Heritage Days, a lot of Halloween type stuff and Christmas things. And we're kind of spreading that out and about.
A lot of community reach.
Yeah, definitely. As well as definitely promoting our grant, which I have on the back, the Rocky Mountain Power on the outline.
There we go.
And that kind of shows we have 4 cycles that we use with Rocky Mountain Power Foundation. These are for small capital type projects for communities and charities. We've had several cities and communities take advantage of these. We just recently we upgraded a batting cage in Centerville. And the foundation provided $8,000 for them on something that they were just trying to get it past to get it completed, and they were really excited about that. So any organizations or the county, if there's something you're looking at, June 15th, they have community enhancement, things for recreation centers, economic developments, libraries, monuments, memorials. If there's something that's really near and dear, I would really advise you to put in for it. There's no guarantees, but if you don't take a shot, you're not going to score. And it's a way that we can give back to our communities. And again, I think between the 3 counties, Weaver, Davis, and Morgan County, last year, I was able to kind of scrounge up between grants and community funding close to $300,000 that we provided. And a lion's share really was here in Weaver County. So always a win. And it's, I think we've really kind of expanded that. It was a kind of an area that I think was underdeveloped. I had one grant session, I didn't get 1 grant. And I was like, this is a problem. So when I visit all the communities, and we've talked about this before, but I always hit it, take advantage of this, use it, allow it to enhance your communities.
Good to know.
That's everything that I've got.
Okay,
I go quick because I know you guys are busy.
thank you very much. Very great on the timing. Questions, commissioners?
None.
Ken? Okay, I appreciate it, Kirk. Thank you for that. It's always great to partner with Rocky Mountain.
You guys have been great over years and years. Thank you so much.
Appreciate the partnership, and just allows us to all work together and get things done. So,
Yeah.
and then if there's any questions, concerns ever on a county level, and Jim, I'm your point of contact, no matter how small.
Okay.
And then if we need to get someone else involved, I know who to reach, but we want to try to make our big company a little smaller. Just reach out and contact me, and we can get that facilitated for you.
Good to know.
Kirk's always been great to contact and very responsive, so.
We'll check with Stacy on that weed board appointment. I think we probably have a meeting coming up. I don't know if it's this month or June, but it'll be coming.
If you want, then we can, yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, you got it. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Kurt. Appreciate you coming in.
Always good to see you.
There you go.
Got it right here in my package.
Put it right there. Yeah, keep that in that packet.
There you go.
Recovered. Okay, folks, let's go on to, we have everybody here for our 2:30, Sean. Thanks.
Not quite, the Black Pine Group will be here.
Are they coming?
Yep, we need to bring in a few other. Thanks.
Thanks, Kurt.
So, yeah, we're 5 minutes ahead or so, so
Okay,
they should be here any minute.
well, we'll wait. How's that?
Okay, fine.
Unless you got something better, you know,
Nah, I got, you know.
go ahead, bring it up now. Forever hold your peace. And just for those online, that the 3 o'clock agenda item 8 has been canceled since that was a duplication. We actually handled that. What was it?
Item 4.
An item 4 that was already gone through, so. But we will be on our last agenda item then at 2:30 regarding the Black Pine Development Agreement. All right, welcome for those still with us online. We're now at our 2:30 agenda item number 7, which is discussion regarding Black Pine Development Agreement. Mr. Bill Cobabe is with us. He'll be presenting this. We have Sean Wilkinson still with us. Charlie Ewert, Rick Grover, Gary Meyer, Stephanie Russell, and the Black Pine team. So Dan, do you want to introduce your team?
Sure, yeah,
Just so we know who's here.
yeah, so Spencer's over here. Spencer
Spencer's there.
Stevens. Yep, he's with us, Black Pine, Dallin Curtin with Black Pine. And then we have our co-developer, the Gardner Company, Mark Murdoch, Ben Seastrand. Happy to have them here with us. And then as it relates to the TIF, we've got Sam here with the Davidson. So he'll join the discussion after we get to the development here.
Perfect. And I forgot to introduce Chris Crock, who's with us. I think we hit Rick, so I think that it's for our team. Bill, you want to start?
Yes, sir. So this is a development agreement brought on behalf of the Black Pine Development Group. Staff has worked for months now on this development agreement. We have really wrung every word and twisted every phrase to make sure that it meets the best possible outcome for both Black Pine and the county. Our interest, of course, is in protecting the concerns and interests of the county in this development agreement. This is associated with a zone change for the property. I presume you guys know where the property is. It's on 900 South, about 5600 West, and just past the river.
5,900 west.
59, what did I say, 57?
56. It's on 59.
Is that
22, 21.
Yeah,
whatever it is.
it's all the same out there when you look at it.
It's all wet right now, is what it is.
It's wet.
This development agreement really covers a lot of different aspects of it. And I don't know if there's any particular point of interest. I sent it to you guys last Friday so that you could have a look at it and kind of chew on it over the weekend. But it's a fairly substantial document, so I would be surprised if you didn't have any questions or concerns about it. Just know that we've been through this, both our legal team as well as our staff. And the only caveat that I would say right at the beginning is that there has been some back and forth about who would take over the infrastructure. I know Sean sent you guys an email last week about that, and we've had some response from Black Pine saying that our understanding about it is correct. And so we need to make sure that the language in that particular section governing the ownership and ultimate maintenance of the infrastructure as put in is not by the county. So that would be the sewer district and or the water company or whoever at that point. So
is that in here?
it's not reflected in this document. So we'll need to make that change before we get it back to you for ultimate approval.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah, this doc hasn't been changed since we started having this
So
conversation.
this is the same one we've seen for the past couple months.
Yeah, it hasn't changed much in the last 4 or 5 weeks.
Okay.
And so we definitely will tweak it for that conversation we had about the sewer line. And then the water district as well. We sent around that agreement that's already signed with the water district, so they're already planning to take it over. It just wasn't reflected in here.
Yeah. And so you'll be getting something, I'm assuming, out of the sewer district as well.
Correct. So that document will be sent to them today. They have a long range planning meeting tomorrow, which they'll be talking about that document. And then they'll vote on it on the 15th.
Got it.
So, yeah.
Okay. And so I'm assuming you're okay with that modification then
Yes.
to this.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. What else, Bill?
The other thing to keep in mind is, well, two things. First off, they've shown in the development agreement in some of the exhibits, a road layout with some buildings and things kind of laid out how they think it probably will develop out with different spaces, different buildings at different sizes. Don't get too hung up on the exact layout of those things because that's subject to change. As the development takes place and as they get clients in and the buildings adapt to the needs of the different clients, those buildings, the actual footprint and layout of those buildings may change going forward. So don't get too hung up on any of that. Just know that in general terms, there are infrastructure installation that will take place on the property, including roads, water, sewer, and all of those things that will meet the ongoing and adapting concerns of the development as it goes forward. So we tried to make sure that those things were addressed in broad terms in the development agreement with specifics to be determined as the development takes place. The other thing is with regard to working with the park district, I know there's been some interest and concern about that. There will be a park that's developed on the southwest corner of the property. Basically in the Oxbow, Little Weaver area. And that is something that the developer has worked with the park district and has come up with a separate agreement governing that. So we put that in here as a reference to the development or the agreement between the park district and the developer. And that is, it's not spelled out in any greater detail in here than just as a reference to that. So is there anything else I'm missing, Charlie?
No, I would say, out of all the developers that I've worked with, these guys so far have done what I think the private market should do and didn't rely on Bill and I to, do the job for them. They submitted really good plans and worked hand in hand with us on some of the concerns that we had. And I think it's gonna be a good project, successful project.
We like that when the developers do their work, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Additionally, they were very diligent in doing due diligence and feasibility studies from multiple levels, as well as doing their own financial analysis and providing that information in a very timely fashion for us.
Good. Stephanie, any comments, economic development wise?
No, I've sat in on most of the development agreement meetings, and it's going to line up very, very nicely with what they're going to present relative to the PID and the tax increment finance.
Okay, so how are we coming on the TIF report in terms of the questions we had? I think, was it last week?
Yeah, I can start that off if you guys
Are
are.
we talking about that now?
Yeah, I was going to tag it on to the end of this conversation of the development agreement, if you're done talking about the development.
Okay,
agreement.
so before we move on, Sharon, any questions?
No.
Or, okay, so with that change, so let's get a revised copy, make sure that goes through legal. And
You'll call that.
you want to take a look at that as well? And
Yeah, sure.
make sure our concerns have been addressed.
Yeah, on the infrastructure, and I'm, have no doubt that once we get that language
Yeah,
back from Central Weaver, they'll make the change.
No, I'm sure we're okay. Let's just verify it. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah, we'll make that change and send it to you guys.
great. Okay, yes, Commissioner Hart.
Likely you're calling that revised copy, what could be the final draft or the final.
That's how I see it.
That's just making sure we're all singing out of the same.
Unless there was something else from staff planning that we're missing here.
If it does end up being the final, are you guys comfortable at that point with it being placed on the agenda for a vote on the rezone and the development agreement?
Yes.
Our goal is to have that in front of you, not tomorrow, but a week from tomorrow.
Okay, can you guys operate that fast?
Definitely.
Yeah,
That's kind of what they want.
yeah, we definitely can.
Usually us slowing things down a little bit.
Okay.
Craig Jensen on there, he's the attorney that helped draft it, so. Craig, we need it tomorrow.
On it.
Well, we should, yeah, I would say the sooner the better, but tomorrow would be great. Okay, Steph,
Yeah,
go
absolutely.
ahead. So this is about the TIF.
Yeah, so we're gonna transition over to the tax increment finance piece of this project. We were able to work with Daniel and his team, and they have put together an updated one sheet for you, as well as an updated project area plan and budget. They'll go through this with you in just a second, and this should address the concerns that came up in the last meeting that we had. And before I turn the time over to Daniel and his team, I wanted to let you know that we did meet. We had a preliminary meeting with the executive committee of the school district today to go over actually this sheet and to go over the project, just to get a feel, so we're not wasting everybody's time. If this is something that they're interested in partnering with us, and they are interested in partnering, it is also a big ask for them and not quite their policy, but they're willing to work with us if the county's willing to go in that direction. So we had a very successful meeting with them. We're scheduled to meet with the fire district coming up in June, and we'll present the same thing pending the outcome of the meeting that you guys had to adopt the project area plan and budget. So currently, pending the outcome of today's meeting, if you'd like to move forward, we will post a public meeting notice, a public hearing notice tomorrow, and that will give 30 days for review. And then we would have a public hearing on June 6th to adopt the project area plan and budget. So that's just
On
kind of the
June
schedule
6th.
on June 6th. So there'll be a 30-day review period. And that's tomorrow. If tomorrow, your CRA meeting is not just about criminal acts today after pending what you guys decide today in this meeting, it will add this addition onto that meeting for tomorrow morning, just as an announcement of the public hearing, if you'd like to move forward and do the public hearing. But I'd like for them to present the alterations that they made and the additional information that they're going to provide, and we can have some discussion.
So what's the feeling of the school board?
They're in favor. They're going to meet.
Same term and same thing that we're looking at?
They're going to, yeah, they're going to look at that, and they understand the infrastructure piece. We're going to be providing them with some additional information that they requested, that will show basically how the tax increment finance, how soon they can have access to that tax increment, and what that actually looks like from them from a long-term perspective, as well as some possible educational components to the development that they've asked for that. So they provided us with a guideline today that we're going to go through and fulfill their obligations for their guideline, not dissimilar to our committee that we've put together and the requirements we have for our committee. So we'll be going through that process with the school.
We did socialize this ask and they didn't throw up any red flags. It's just like,
Yeah,
here's the list of additional items that we need.
yeah, and they'd asked us to come back.
Who'd you meet with? Executive committee?
The executive committee, they've got, it's actually their TIF committee. So it's got their superintendent, their president.
It was half the board, and
Yeah.
there are 4 board members,
4 board members?
superintendent, the president,
Okay.
and then a couple board
Two
members,
other-
and then there was another gentleman.
John was on there just as advisory,
Former.
from, yeah,
Good.
former, yeah.
Okay,
So he came in, so we'll schedule another meeting with them pending your decision to move forward today.
got it. So can you make it work if they don't do the 80%?
So we'll walk you through that. I think that's maybe a good way to pivot to the numbers here.
Okay,
So the first page you guys have seen, I realized last time after we left, we didn't really give you guys a feeling of the deep dive that we did to get to these numbers. So I wanted to pause for a minute and take a step back on the last year's worth of work that we've been doing with the staff, in addition to with our engineers and all of our consultants that have been working on this project with us. So we did a very deep dive into the infrastructure in the area with our civil engineer to understand sewer, water, storm drain, all of those things. Dallin's got a deck of drawings over there that's, about yay thick. We do a pretty thorough analysis, more so than most developers would do, to really try to understand just what we're dealing with. We went and met with the water district in the basement of Joe Giordano's house and understood what their wish list was, what are their needs. We went and met with the Parks District in the Bowery of the park and attended their board meeting, same thing, try and understand what are your needs and what are you struggling with out here. We did the same thing with the sewer district, and we've done the same thing with the staff here, with working with Gary and his team on the engineering. They've reviewed the drawings that our engineer put forth. They've been around since about November of last year. We've done some iterations with the county engineering staff. So we've done a really thorough deep dive. Then we engaged Big D. Big D is a partner of ours. They built some of our projects before. We gave them the drawings. We walked them through the project. We gave them the site plan and some elevations, and had Big D go through and put together an itemized breakdown of all of these costs. And so you can see that the number goes down to the dollar, instead of just lumpy rounded numbers. And that's because Big D was so thorough in their analysis on what this infrastructure was just going to cost. So we walked you through last time, each of the things that the project's going to provide. I might just highlight a few more and really wanted to do that pulling to this map. So we put together this sheet. It's on the back of the deck. And this just shows you one of the questions I think that came up last time is like, what are we buying? Like, what are we getting out of this? So that's what this sheet shows. The bottom of the page is the sewer line. And you can see going from 4100 west out to 5900 west. Dallin ran the math. And if you were to start here at the county offices and do the same distance, it would take you all the way to the Weaver Innovation, the Ogden Applied Center That's how far of a sewer.
ATC.
The ATC, yeah.
Okay.
So that's how far of a sewer run that we're dealing with. It's a little bit easier to visualize that than when you're just passing farms. So it's a long ways. If we were just to do this for our project, we would run a force main line, that entire length, and it would be a much smaller pipe. What that would mean is if the county then would want to come back and put in a sewer line to support the area, the county couldn't just upsize our line. They would have to install a completely independent line at the size that they want. So by allowing us to be able to take over the stewardship of that big line and help support it with this big project, we can negate that requirement to have to come back in and put a second sewer line down in the future.
Okay.
So, and then you got the lift station there that you guys are aware of. That'll obviously be oversized from what we would need by a substantial amount. On the top of the page, you can get an idea of roads, some of the regional stuff. So along our frontage on 900, we'll be doing dedication of right of way. We'll be putting in the true regional trail system that's a part of the general plan. So there's a lot of right of way and dedication there. We'll also be improving our sections of it. Now you got 5900 West, which right now is a narrow shouldered road, just a small country road. It'll be converted, and that's this road kind of going down the middle of the project here. That'll be converted into an 80-foot right of way. To the south of 900, there's no road there. The county owns a 66-foot right of way. It's a dirt road today. As part of this, working with Gary and team and staff, they asked that we create an intersection here so that we didn't have trucks coming out on the curve, which we agreed to do. So we're going to be upgrading this section on the south side of 900 and providing enough land in this area to be able to provide for an intersection that will come in at some future date. The traffic study that we did didn't require anytime soon, so we've put it in the agreement that we'll give the land and then line everything up for that. So 5900 will get lengthened the length of our project. And then when Bill talked about how we don't know exactly what the building layout's going to be, what we did agree to was this concept of a ring road. And these roads are in the general plan. And so we've agreed to provide this ring road concept. So even if our buildings, say this one grew a little bit, we'd still have to provide this ring road concept. We're putting a half width here shooting north. We're dedicating a right of way here on the north side of the project, as well as an easement. So at some future date, when 300 North goes through, and that's the road that's planned to go across the river and tie into 47.
300 north or 400 north, I thought that was.
Yeah, it could be either or.
So it's actually, it ties over into 400 south. I do think it's 200 or 300 north on the west side of the river.
Okay, all right, whatever it is, I know what you're saying.
Yep, so that'll all be included. They talked when they were giving you guys an update on how on the emerald necklace, as they're calling it. This is that shaded in green. We've got the 100-foot setback. We'll be installing a regional trail system in there in addition to giving the setback. And then we have the average of the 300 feet along the project length for no building improvements that we'll be providing. You guys know about the park, 35 acres, about $750,000 worth of improvements that'll be dedicated to the Parks District. So microcosm, that's kind of what you're getting locally. But in terms of regional benefit, it's hard to describe what you're getting because you're getting a sewer line that'll be oversized to support 10,000 plus acres and a lot of this road infrastructure that'll be preparing you for the future of this corridor. So.
And there's two other pieces worth mentioning relative to this project. One is the water storage that they have made an agreement with
Warren
West Weaver. And then the other
Ranch.
piece is the grid system and the substation that they've made an agreement with Rocky Mountain, which is substantial. It's a $36 million ask from Rocky Mountain.
So we've paid Rocky Mountain Power $10,000 to do an area study.
Okay.
We had the staff get on the phone with us with Rocky Mountain Power to help Rocky Mountain Power understand what was coming. And what we would require as part of our project, they went and did a system impact study. We have a copy of that study today, if you guys are interested in looking at it. But that's where they said that to support the immediate needs and for some future needs in the area, it would require this 30 megawatt substation. And then to connect it in with the existing network and all the transmission and distribution lines required, that's where the $36 million number came from. So that's straight from Rocky Mountain Power System Impact Study
And that
that we
would
paid
be
for.
public access for
Yes.
anyone that connects in the future.
How far east and west?
So the actual location of the substation will be, we have to give them property to put it on.
Okay.
So it'll be on our project. We haven't identified the exact location, but it'll be somewhere on our project.
Okay,
Because we'll be dedicating them land for it.
okay.
But it will reach further than our project.
But yeah,
Absolutely.
but
It
who
always
else?
does, yeah.
The question is,
So
who
it
else,
comes,
how many other people will it serve?
yeah, so one of the connections, I believe it's on 7200 where it comes down on the map. So they have to the north, they have a substation and they're tying in some transmission lines down 7200 and then shooting them east to 5900. And so they'll have support services as far west as 72 that they could easily tie into for further west as well.
Okay,
So it'll definitely service the whole western Weaver area
okay,
through redundancy and things like that.
So currently, Warren West Weaver is paying to do storage with
That's right.
Weaver Basin. So the addition of this very large storage tank is going to be a benefit to the Weaver West, can't say it. Warren West Weaver, yeah,
Yeah,
water district.
yeah, we're
And-
building 4 times what we're required by the
Yeah.
fire.
are
marshal.
you, is a contract with Weaver Basin then?
So Weaver Basin wholesales water to Warren West
Yeah.
Warren. We have a contract with Warren West
Okay.
Warren. They're buying storage space for 500,000 gallons right now from Weaver Basin. That sits up on the hillside somewhere over here on the east. When we install this 1,000,000 gallon tank, they'll no longer have to do that. They'll just store their 500,000 gallons plus our 250, and then they'll have some surplus. So it'll get rid of the requirement for them to lease that space.
Okay,
Yeah,
I think we should have another W in there, just to
Yeah.
make life easier.
Yeah.
4 Ws, yeah,
4 Ws.
yeah.
Okay,
that'd make it easier.
Okay.
So those aren't, direct benefits to the county, but regarding future development in that area. And just providing additional infrastructure with the utilities and with the service districts that we work with. Those are 2 other, I think, really big pieces that add value to this project.
So now I want to take you to the second page here. This is diving a little bit deeper into math. So in box number 1, what we did here is we created a baseline cost, like if we were to develop a project like this in a place like BDO, where you already have some roads and some infrastructure in the close proximity to your project, what would it normally cost us to do a project like this? And on the bottom of page 1, we put in that range of $5 to $7 of site work costs. And so the baseline cost for this particular project are about $50 million. So as the developer going into a project like this, we would expect to pay about $50 million for a project this size, doing offsite upgrades and doing things to support the project.
And that's an infrastructure cost.
Infrastructure costs, yeah.
Yeah.
So that would be our roads and just little upgrades, right?
that'd be your share.
Correct.
Got it.
What would be used to normally pay.
Yeah.
For this particular project, you can see that it's $102 million or 103 if you round up. So we labeled that as additional costs or overburden, just given the lack of infrastructure in the area. So that's chart number 1. Chart number 2 shows you what we were proposing. So we're used to paying $50 million of baseline costs. What we're proposing is to pay the 50, we'll then tax ourselves via the PID and pay more property tax to help subsidize the additional costs or the overburden to the tune of about 32 million. So that'd be
To the tune of about 52.
Well,
32
the
incremental.
pit would do.
If you look at the
32.
one below, he's saying,
Right.
Yeah, and then
Oh, I
what
get
we're,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
then you get to the,
Thank you.
You
you'll
get to
see
the
the
tip.
20 on the, yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
and so what we're asking the county and the sewer district and the fire district to do is then support what the gap is above and beyond that. So what the chart 2 is trying to show is that we're going even above and beyond what we normally would do to the tune of about $32 million via use of the PID, and then just us injecting even more cash just to help kickstart the area and help be catalyzed the area.
Okay.
So chart 3, this shows one of the questions that came up last time. If what happens if we were 50% participation for 15 years, you can see that would reduce that TIF amount, the 22 and or 21 and change, down to about 8, which leaves an unfunded delta of about $13 million. So it's a pretty substantial hit by dropping it down to 50 and 15. Number 4, this tries to get at some of the things, the economic benefits or just the benefits to the county right out of the gates. So a lot of this infrastructure we talked about last time has to be installed really early in the process. We don't have a project without the sewer, without the water, without 5900 getting upgraded, without power, without the natural gas. So the county and the area is going to get the benefit of this infrastructure really quick in the process. So we showed you guys that there's an immediate return on investment for every dollar the county puts in of about $4. So that's by us putting in the money that we are. Even though it's a big ask of the 80 for 25 years, right now it's in greenbelt and agricultural. If we were to do this over that 25 years, there would still be about $24 million of property tax that would come in during the 25 years. And then after the 25 years, it's estimated to be about $5 million per annum in perpetuity, and then growing obviously as rates and things change and values change. We reiterated the qualitative stuff, which is the jobs and the GDP and the wages. One thing to note that this 24 million and this 5 million do not include our personal property tax, sales tax, things like that. This is just straight property tax.
Got it.
So 6,400 jobs, both direct and indirect. We've got, this is based on a Newmark study that we did, $1.4 billion of estimated annual GDP generated, $350 million of annual employee compensation. And then we talked about the 10,000 plus acres. So to us, it's keeping our labor force local by providing them with good high paying jobs, which allows them to make the money here, buy their lunches here, and have their families here, shop here. So a lot of the stuff that's not in here, the trickle down stuff, which would be just by keeping people local, you'll see a huge benefit in all of those things too. So, and then, do you want to talk about some of the projects that
Sure.
you guys have done?
That's, before we do that, that's a lot of info. Great
That is a
work.
lot of info.
Was there any questions on that? Cause that was really impressive stuff.
I did zoom through that.
You did
so.
great, by the way.
Exactly what we asked for.
Yeah.
Good. Tell me what you're gonna do on 900 south on the roadway
So we've got,
that you've got on blue in here. I understand what you got on 59.
yeah, so 900, it's primarily going to be a very large land donation just to make sure that there's 120 foot right of way for future growth.
For the
Yeah.
intersection.
Well, we have that now, don't we, Gary?
We have 100.
You're gonna go to 120.
That's what the request was. We'll be putting in curb gutter sidewalk on our side. We've got a 10-foot trail system on the north side of the street that's in the general plan.
On the north side of this, okay?
So along our entire frontage, you'll get the 10-foot trail, you'll get the upgrades, curb gutter sidewalk, park strip, things like that on the south, and then on our little bit on the north.
Okay, good.
Yeah. I think the only thing, great work. The only thing I would probably add is that we've done a myriad of tips through kind of what I've been doing with the Gardner Company for the last 15 plus years. And I think the one thing that's unique about this one is if I'm getting it right, Daniel, is that it's really only asking for the additional cost of the overburden versus a lot of the times we're just going straight for the project itself. For example, the one we've done in Midvale, it pays for a lot of the project itself. And so that is kind of unique. And it was the exact same 80-25. So pretty common for us. We've seen this a lot. The only thing I would also add is that as the Gardner Company, we're pretty excited to be like joined with Black Pine. 100% believe in this area. My family actually grew up in this area. I'm very familiar with it, but I think that, you know, it's good timing. I'll leave it that way. It's really good timing for this area. Yeah.
Okay. Gary, have you looked at these numbers? These seem realistic to you?
Yeah, we've been through this, frontwards, backwards, sideways, every way we could with Daniel and Alan, and so, yeah, I think we're comfortable with everything.
Okay. All right, what else?
I think that's about it.
That's,
I mean, there's more. We can go more if you want,
No,
but do you have other questions? I think is what we would ask.
Okay, that's what we're gonna do right now. Additional questions. Sharon? Harv?
No, I appreciate you coming back with this detail.
Yeah, this
Thank you.
gives us what we want.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Daniel and his
Yeah, you
team have
bet.
done an amazing job.
So Stephanie, what's our
So.
time schedule on this?
The next step would be tomorrow, we would have the CRA meeting. We announced that we would be doing a public hearing. It's just an announcement at the CRA meeting. And that the project area plan and budget is up for review for 30 days. And that's open to the public. They can request that. And in the meantime, while we're waiting out that 30 days, we'll probably come back to you one or two more times just to make sure that the project area plan and budget is exactly how you want it. I will also be meeting with the different districts to present the project area plan to them and get their input as well as their commitment through a resolution that they would like to participate in this and whatever levels they decide to participate in. And then once the project area plan and budget is adopted, if you decide to do that on June 6th, then we go into interlocal agreement and we make it a reality.
Okay. Got it.
So we're about a month out.
Yeah.
From the finals. So there's still some room. If we have some additional questions or additional tweaks, we have a 30-day window we can do that in.
So you need authorization to go ahead and start the
And publish,
process.
and publish tomorrow, yeah.
That won't come till tomorrow, right? Or we'll do that today.
Yeah, well, you guys will vote on that. You don't even have to vote on it. There's no action required. I just need to know, that we're gonna send out the notice.
Doesn't come for the commission.
It's already, it's for the Community Reinvestment Agency, which is happening tomorrow before.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. We got the
I
CRA.
just want to make sure that we have Promolux on that. I want to
Okay.
make sure you guys are okay with me putting
So you
commentary on that as well and doing that in public announcement tomorrow.
Sure.
got it.
You're the chair. I'm good with it.
I'm good with it.
Okay, done.
Then I will see.
Thank you. We
all in the
appreciate it.
morning.
Tomorrow morning.
Thanks, guys.
Let's get this done.
Okay.
Isn't that
Yeah.
CRA meeting?
Yeah, it's-
This
That's a
should be
CRA.
9:45. Oh, that's right, yeah.
You're the chair on the CRA. Okay.
So no action.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, thank you, sir. Good to see you again.
Daniel, good seeing you.
yeah, it's good to see you. Nice to see you. Thanks.
Hey, take care, guys.
Yeah, thanks so much.
And thank you for your time.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Good.
Hey, drink your water. All right, where are we? We're at the end of our agenda, so I would, we have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
And we have a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye, we're now adjourned. Thanks.